Hey Internet, welcome back to Easy Riding. I'm Zach.
I'm Emma.
Well, we have disassembled all the major parts from the Yamaha LT3. And I think next in line is to take down all of those little sub-assemblies and clean all the little parts out and do some repainting and fixing of all the little pieces and parts that we can. We're gonna have to go through everything and make sure we got all the various rubber pieces ordered.
Gaskets and seals and cotter pins and all the things that didn't quite make it through being taken off or that we just saw were rotten and we're going to need replacing anyway.
Let's get to it.
I have my kitchen table covered in towels and most of the contents of the big bucket. I've got a parts washer with some Tide laundry soap in it, a rinse bucket, towels for drying. Clean things are being put over here. We also have the ultrasonic cleaner in the garage that is cleaning the smaller nuts and bolts and things, and I'm working on the bigger stuff. A little bit of an update. I've got lots of clean parts that have gone through the ultrasonic cleaner. Just about all of the nuts and bolts have been cleaned. This is went through the sonic cleaner, but don't know where it actually went, so we'll figure that out later. The night ends with a lot of parts cleaned up. Still have to sort some nuts and bolts. This crankcase was horrid, and there's still just a little bit to get out. That one was a hot mess. Everything that's on that side of the table was on that side of the table today, so I'd say that's pretty good progress for a day.
I've got some rusty bits to take care of. The main one for the next immediate steps is actually some of the swing arm stuff, and I couldn't find a Evapo rust, which is sort of the ubiquitous rust removal. So I grabbed whatever they had down at Home Depot for the job. However, I've only got a gallon of it, and that's not going to fill this 5-gallon bucket. So I've got an idea that I don't know if it's going to work, but we're going to give it a go. And as long as the densities of water and this evaporative, or this rust remover, are similar, it should work. We'll see. All right, let's see if my plan has any merit at all. I want to take up the extra volume in this bucket with water without diluting the the rust remover. So if this is working correctly, my idea, we should have a rising fluid level inside the bag because it's being compressed by the water outside the bag. Looks like the density of the rust remover is a little more than that of water. It seems to be climbing up the bag just a little faster. Just interesting. We'll let that set for a couple hours and see what happens. We pulled the stuff that was in the bath out, and it looks significantly better than it did. There is some flash rusting that has occurred. I've got a product here that we're going to try, a rust converter, that we'll give a shot, see if it works here in a moment. But after I pulled these out, I put some other things in the bath to see how they would fare. See if we could find them. That one wasn't too bad. There was just a little bit of rust on a couple parts of it. This one had some pretty nasty spots on it. Looks like those have all cleared up. That was all a rusty mess before. Ah, yes, the chain. It actually moves again. That came out all right. It might be usable. Oh boy, this stuff stinks today. I didn't smell it yesterday, but it's stinky today. Let me stick my hand back in it.
Nice.
The mud guard has actually removed some of the paint too, which is fine. I think we planned on repainting a lot of the parts that were sort of rusty anyway. So I've got some what is probably nasty chemicals. See how they do us. If smell's anything to go by, I should be wearing a ventilator, and this stuff's going to work great. It's been a half hour. Let's see how we did. Well, certainly comes off of there all right. Still smells like I'm giving myself cancer. So this stuff does say lay it on thick, and I don't think I did that real good in some of these areas. So it might have to get a second go around on some of these spots. The instructions say to neutralize with water or mineral spirits, something like that. I got a lot of water, so that's what I'm using. So the black spots on here are spots where the rust remover did its job before. The rest of this, there's a little bit of paint left on it. We'll have to give it another go or something. But you can see the spots that are fresh metal like have immediately rusted with this contact to water. That's what that spray that I used earlier on some pieces is for, that flash rust. It'll convert it. The paint remover has done its job. It took a couple of tries with the stuff. I actually had another can of paint remover that was a different brand that I don't know where I got it from, but I tried it. It wasn't as good. I went back to the other stuff that was, it's nasty. Strong chemicals, but I did move to some better PVE also to go along with it. But now that we've got it stripped, we've got a little bit of rust that accumulates, when you do that. So I'm going to hit it with this rust converter on all the pieces, and then we'll do a little Scotch-Brite on them, a little steel wool, and I think we'll be ready for painting. every piece that we don't know where it goes is going to equal, you know, significant time figuring it out. Not that we can't figure it out, but just that it's a big time suck if we don't know where it goes, you know?
Which is why I've tried to stay uber organized throughout this whole thing. Screwdriver or something?
There's another way to do this I've seen on other vehicles.
Poor boy who doesn't like greasy things. Just mind your fingers. That's interesting.
Kind of cool. I've never done it that way before.
I'm gonna disassemble the front forks. According to our manual, there's a screw. There's a nut. There's a nut right here that you need to loosen. Dump out the oil. And then on the opposite end, there is a screw that you have to loosen. And then you pull these two pieces apart. This is a 17mm wrench. Out comes the oil. Ooh, that is stinky. A little screw right there. We're going to unscrew that. Just like that. We've got both the forks laid out here on the workbench. Zach has a tool that's meant to hold round things, and we need to grip onto this nut to remove the inner and outer sleeve. So we're going to grip onto it and then spin it counterclockwise. I thought that that one was loose.
This one doesn't need the tightness of a clamp. It's fine thread, so it's got a long ways to go. Trying to make sure something does come blorping out of there.
Or a spring. All right, that was all supposed to do that.
I went to all this effort to get this thing out here, so I'm not going to try spinning it till I get in it. Just so I can say I used it.
I have no idea what this tool is that he's using.
It's a clamp for clamping round things.
Nope, you're spinning the whole. There you go.
This is spinning. It's fine.
Okay.
The part that needs to spin is spinning. Yeah, it just pulls.
Ooh, that one's gooey too. Oil pan, because gooey. Front forks are disassembled.
Let the cleaning commence.
This side was really dry. I don't know if you guys can see that or not, but these are almost dusty compared to this one that's super shiny, because because it's really greasy. That's lovely in there. That's terrible. Might need your picks to get that out, get that off, whatever.
Wish I knew where they went.
I also don't know if it's a good idea to keep them left and right, but for right now I'll leave the sticky notes on them. That one looks so much better than that one, which is saying something because they both look disgusting. This is the right side. This is the left side. I don't know if you can see the...
Should be easy to tell. One of them's greasy and one of them isn't.
After the sonic cleaner. Still doesn't look terrific. See if some of that will wipe out. This side looks good. That side's nice and shiny. Try to clean some of that up. Washed both of these now, and you can see the difference in them. Zach's trying to hopefully figure out how to get this seal out of this side. Flip them over. You can just see how much better condition one side is than the other. Hey, don't lick that.
Well, I made a slight error. This is the front brake.
Shoe assembly.
Yeah, the outer cover for that whole thing. It holds the speedometer cable and whatnot. But we washed it out in the parts washer, and then I wanted to make sure that there was no water left in it to rust any of the parts that didn't get pulled out when we did that. And I've got a little toaster oven that I used for non-cooking heating purposes, and I stuck it out there in that and then forgot about it for 2.5 days or something like that. And so you could see it really baked the grease that was still in here into just a fine crust, and it discolored the aluminum, which I could buff that out. That's not a problem. I can buff all the coloring problems out, but we're gonna squirt some brake clean in there, something to hopefully get rid of the baked in grease that I made errors about. To assist with the spinning of this gear, I took a nail and I flattened the 4 sides of it and bent the angle over to give me a handle. So I got this about the same size, within 0.1 of a millimeter, the same size as the shaft that goes in here, and now it fits into place. You can see I can spin that because it wasn't spinning, it was a little gummed up, so I thought I'd help this stuff along by getting a little movement too. I went out and purchased an actual seal puller because that one that I had was not super effective.
Like a cloth around that so you don't mar it?
It's in a wood vise. It shouldn't. If it gets marred by this, then
Problems.
we have bigger problems. Oh no! Both collars have given me problems now. I think water got down and rusted, like the seal wore away and the metal under it rusted and has like adhered it in place. Because that's what a new seal looks like that goes in that spot. So this broken metal here and this one here that I've busted out, those are part of the seal, the old seal that's in there that needs to come out still. This is new problems that I just made for myself. The seal puller, the end of it just dug a slot before I noticed what it was doing. It won't affect the function of the part at all, but I will stay awake at night because of it. All right, I'm gonna preface everything by saying I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm gonna hit these parts anyway right now with this primer before moving on to the black paint. And we're all set up in our tent. I've got a little bit of PPE. Let's see how it goes. Well, there you have it. Basically everything stripped down to its core components. Just a couple of those assemblies left. Some of the stuff around the rear tire. And then onto the engine. So I think the painting came out all right. I've never done that before. The primering went really smoothly. The paint didn't come out quite as smooth as I would have liked, but it was out of a can and it's on all the stuff that I'm not as worried about anyway, so I didn't do as much prep work as I might otherwise. I think we plan on trying to do the tank and other purple parts ourselves also out of a gun, a spray gun, so we'll see how that goes, and I'll do a little more prep work on those pieces before we actually spray them. And if the finish doesn't come out the way I like, we'll probably end up taking it somewhere, so.
There were some things that we're going to have to find a different source for, as far as some of the grommets or some of the rubber bits and pieces that we just can't get a hold of.
And one of the throttle cables too.
Yeah. So we're gonna keep our eye out for those pieces and find them as we can and add them to the rebuild.
Big props to Emma for most everything you saw in the last video and this one. She's done the majority of the dismantling and cleaning all by herself while I'm, working a regular day job. So